Hello and welcome back to Super Hell, aka the Mystery Spotcast, a show where two recovering Supernatural fans subject themselves to rewatch so no one else ever has to watch Supernatural again. I'm Klaudia. My pronouns are she, her. You can find me on social media at Klaudia Says, K-A-L-U-D-I-A Says.
And my name is Ollie. You can find me on social media at Ollie Fresh. That's fresh with a PH. And my pronouns are whatever. I'm fine with whatever.
Today,
cool.
We have a very special guest for you. Someone we've actually talked about briefly on the podcast before. Briefly. Meghan, would you like to introduce yourself and your relationship to Supernatural?
Oh, hello. My name is Meghan Fitzmartin, and I have also dated Supernatural. No, I have previously been a writer on the show. I was a fan of the show. I was an assistant for the show. I've been many a thing for the show. I wrote on the last 2 seasons, and happy to be here today with you all.
I'm so excited for you to be here. This is such a big get for us. Like, we're a real podcast now. So one of the questions that we do like to ask our guests, where were you on November 5th, 2020?
I remember it well. I'm going to set the scene a little bit earlier for you. And that scene is when we got a particular script in, and I went, hey, so this is going to break Tumblr. And everyone going, no. Me going, okay. I'm pretty sure, mind you, this was pre the pandemic. And I very much was like, hey, I mean, great, love it, supportive. Just so you know, we should be watching these websites for, like, maximum joy, if anything. And then everything happened with 2020, and everything was just sort of spiraling, and who knew, and everything, all of it was just a lot. And then we heard, oh, okay, the time is coming. This episode's gonna air. And I got my popcorn bucket ready.
My God.
I know, babies, let's go. And my extremely good friend, Caitlin Schneiderhan, who was in my bubble as well at that time, I had suggested that she might want to come over for that for this particular endeavor.
That's
Caitlin
crazy.
Schneiderhan is a wonderful writer. She is a writer on Stranger Things and has watched the show, watched Supernatural previously, and so she was like, okay. And on the way over, I saw her recently. In fact, I saw her nigh but a few nights ago. She came to my place and she goes, I remember coming up in the elevator. I remember the wait before. And I was here in this very apartment, sitting on the floor, writhing in pain and agony and laughter for 3 hours. I truly, that time I think of as just as if I were a balloon that had fully popped. That was that moment. It was an insane time to be alive.
Well, and it was also election week, so it was not...
Well, that was sort of it. Yeah, exactly. Like, it was election week. We were, like, over 6 months into the pandemic. This happens. I think one of the best things was I was getting texts from friends even being like, hey, what? I don't even go here. What happened on the internet? All of my friends who were in various different fandoms were like, all of the sudden the like secret Supernatural fans rose from every single aspect corner of their different fandoms and their varying spaces, and we're like, what? It was in that one moment we were one.
I remember you sending me
downhill ever since.
I know.
I remember you sending me a very cryptic text of just like, oh, you should watch this episode. Because I was one of the few Supernatural fans left watching it live every week, or at least from the old Tumblr contingent. Because I'm very of like, I will watch it until it.
You're like, into the ground, baby.
I have a very strong sense of you have a strong sense of sunk cost fallacy.
Yeah,
Yes,
and that's why I
yes.
have a supernatural podcast. No.
Yeah.
But like I was like, usually what would happen is I would watch it the next day because that's when it would go up on the CW website, and then I started seeing posts from people, and I remembered getting that text from you, and I was like, what the hell? I was like, I had to look for it on a pirate website to watch it the night of, because I was like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, that's what that text meant.
Yeah. It was such an interesting time because it was like,
Oh my God.
I think it was 4 hours, because it started from the East Coast time, because I'm on the West Coast, I'm out in LA. It started on like the East Coast time, people sort of just watching it. And then there was like that 2-hour period before it started, and so there was just everyone going insane on like all forms of social media before the West Coast feed got it. And so also Putin, there was a rumor that Putin was going to step down. Like, that was the other
Putin
thing that was
resignation, Destiel turning Georgia blue. It was a very powerful time.
turning Georgia blue was another one. Yeah.
And the fact too, mind you, I'm not joking. I do think Destiel did turn Georgia blue because Stacey Abrams, big Supernatural fan.
Big Supernatural fan. I know.
Like, I'm genuine. Like, people joke about that. I'm like, no, you guys don't know the deep lore.
You don't know the lore. You don't know the real.
I'm like, there's a straight line from the Omegaverse to turning Georgia blue, and it requires a lot of steps to explain.
Yeah. One of my favorite things to do, and honestly, one of my favorite claims to fame was that I did have to explain the Omegaverse to the Supernatural writers' room. Had to. Well, it was honestly a genuine joy.
Oh god!
I just got like hives.
Under what context did you have to do this? And how did they go that long without knowing?
They don't plunge the depths of the internet like I do, Klaudia. They don't
know their impact.
It would be it would be a very different show if they did.
Exactly. They shouldn't. They truly shouldn't.
Yeah. No, I don't think, I think that as soon as, like, sorry, not to derail the conversation, but I do feel like sometimes I will see creatives get a little bit too involved in their fandom, and I start to worry. I'm like, we need, because also one is I feel like no one should have that much access to any well-known person, but I'm also like, you don't want them to start fandomizing their own thing where it's like they had a creative vision and now we're like, oh, well, this is what the fans want. And it, like, that goes, it so depends. It is not black and white, but like, it always really makes me nervous.
I really find it interesting because I think that this is a really interesting point that like should be talked about more in creative spaces and just isn't. Like we always were very much like, we don't write for Twitter. That's not who we are. That's not what we're gonna do. And I have worked for a lot of IP. I've worked for, comics. I have worked for features, animation, whatever. And like, I have always existed in the space of I do not write for Twitter. However, there is a resource going, oh, okay, what do people find interesting? Like, what is hitting? What isn't hitting? Like, sometimes it's really useful to know, like, oh, okay, cool. Like, I thought that this character was being read as this way. And, like, if the overall, it's like getting notes from somebody, right? Like, I will send out a script to get notes from someone. And, like, if everyone has the same note on one line, cool, that line doesn't work. That's really useful information. So maybe I can adjust that line. And I tend to look at, like, I don't take anything personal because at this point I have gotten enough death threats to be like, meh, it's fine. Whatever, man. But like, I do think that there is a usefulness in going, oh, okay, like what hits and why? And asking that question, or what doesn't hit and why? And I think that there is, if creators don't recognize that as a notes space, I think that you then get a lot of people who are really belligerent about fandom, and I don't think that that's good either. So I think it is walking that fine line, because I agree. And then you also get the creators who are like way too into it and really like
there's
don't
a few I can
understand
name.
What?
You don't need to.
I'm not gonna name. Are you?
We all know.
Yes.
We all know. No.
Like,
well, it's almost like you need like a fandom interpreter. It's like not everybody needs to be there. You just need somebody who knows to explain, and that's it.
I think, okay, we need to propose a new position that writers' room should have. If we could get like the unions on this, that would be great.
Agreed.
All of your writers' room need to have a weird freak who's too online to tell you like what people are saying and being like, yeah, this is my little freak. They go into the deep trenches on on Tumblr.com and they come back and report what they're writing fan fiction about.
There was a conspiracy fandom theory that I remember seeing on the Supernatural internet, that Jeremy Carver was like the fan in a hat who would just be like acting as writer's PA in a corner and like pitching something from Tumblr.
Oh my god.
Like that, and the NSA agent who was a Destiel fan. Those two were some of my favorite, like, deep internet, like, okay, cool, man, go off. Like, this is great. Like, I love... So I liked, whenever I was an assistant especially, I was like, okay, cool, I can, like, recognize those spaces because, frankly, it's just interesting, and, like, it's a really fascinating subset, like, look into culture. But yeah, I basically told them about ABO because I was like, it is insane to me because you guys don't know about this. And it is, at that point, it was becoming prevalent. I think they were seeing a couple tweets or whatever, and they were like, I do not understand what this means.
What is that?
Like, okay, let me sit you down.
So did they ask you, like, how did that go? Like, they asked you and then you had to be like,
I have no shame, I think, is a really important part of this conversation. Where like it was part of the like.
You're perfect for this show.
I know.
you're a perfect guest on this podcast.
Thank you. But it was one of those things. It came up. I think somebody might have like said something, or there was some conversation, whatever. And I was like, "Do you guys not know about ABO?" And like it.
They know about Supernatural's like part in it.
Connection to it.
I don't think that they do. I don't think that I, at the time, knew. I think I was just like, this is an interesting...
It's better that way.
I know. I think it was fine that I didn't tell them that. But, like,
yeah.
I don't think I knew at the time. And now I have done a lot of fandom research for a reason that we will talk about later. But, I was like, I'm really glad I didn't know it when I told them this. I think I told them about, like, the mechanics. And also, like, what I find interesting about it as a particular niche and concept and genre. But that was, I think it's my personal claim to fame is that I got to be the one.
That's like, honestly, like a bombshell. Like a bombshell has just hit the Mystery Spotcast. Like we're starting our like at our real editorial era. With this, breaking news. Breaking news, Meghan Fitzmartin explained Omegaverse to a Supernatural writer's room.
I did.
And I hope none of the actors know. I hope to God.
No, I didn't say. I did not tell them about that. They don't need to. That was not important. It was important for the room specifically, because I was like, hey, just, like, for reference points or like knowledge-based things, like don't write the word Omega for this reason. Do you know what I mean? Like
that's so scary. Oh my god. But I do think this is lending credence to the theory of every writer's room needs a little guy, needs a little freak who goes on the internet too much.
Yeah.
I'll throw my hat in the ring for Supernatural season 16 when they finally do that. When they finally start that, I'm available.
We talk about Supernatural season 16 a lot on this podcast.
I have so many episodes that I have pitched. I'm like when they I know I just was like, yeah, I think that writers need to be mindful about like interacting with fandom, and I'm like, but not me though. Like,
not me though.
Contact me. Like me. I know what's up.
Different than me. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I hate to say it. I need it up. I know I'm always the first to be like, hey, we need to let IPs rest. Like, we need to be bringing in new stuff. And then it's like Supernatural season 16. I'm like, I'm up. I'm awake.
I would like to consider myself to be that person, but I have never, like, I found fan fiction at, like, 10 years old, because I was like, there's gotta be more Star Wars, right? Like, truly, I was like...
common experience.
Yeah. like, I am very much pro fan fiction existing in its space, because it's a lot of people, like, working stuff out. Like, I'm working stuff out a lot of times in my own writing as well, so, like, that's what fan fiction is very good for.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm supportive, but there is a lot where I'm like, I love this. I don't know how your brain got here, but I love it for you, and that's cool.
I feel like if everyone just started feeling like that, we would be in such a good world. Like, I feel like that needs to be like the golden rule, like treat others how you would want to be treated, and then the other golden rule, like sometimes people just have crazy ideas and it's okay.
Oh, go ahead.
It's very much the when Justin McElroy is like, you should be safe from the government, but not from the Justin. It's like I might make us a little joke about, I will fight for your right to be a freak.
Yeah,
but you're not free from criticism from me.
Also,
but that doesn't mean I don't think you should exist.
I'm a sibling. Like, this is my love for you knows no bounds as a sibling. I will beat you to the ground. You know what I mean? Like, both of those things exist in the same space.
Exactly.
Like, I think we should be able to have conversations about what we're doing here, but I don't want the government involved.
No, they don't need to be. They're all right.
You know?
They're okay.
And you know what? Let's keep the government out
of Supernatural.
Out of Supernatural, especially. And
except for that one NSA agent. I hope that they still ship SPO.
And you know what? The only time I want the government in is when our elected representatives have a plan for Supernatural season 16. Yeah, when they are planning to fund that, I don't care how much it adds to the deficit.
That's true. I would accept a government-run Supernatural season 16.
Government-run Supernatural. It's so like late-stage capitalism. It's kind of beautiful.
You know, it's socialism in a way.
I was gonna say it's more socialism. I would say.
No, now that I'm thinking about it.
We'll have Socialized Supernatural before Socialized Medicine.
Socialized Supernatural maybe have to be the title of this episode. So this has been so, I'm having such a ball so far. Do we want to jump into our first episode?
Yes.
Perfect.
So, let's get into it. We go back, first of all, this is season 6, episode 9, so it's 6-9. Nice.
Nice.
Nice. All right. Happy we're all on the same page. It is season 6, episode 9. It is called Clap Your Hands If You Believe. So, it's a couple things are happening here. There's a lot of stuff going on. Some people may be able to guess what is going on by the title, because it is a reference, as many a Supernatural title is.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this one's not a reference to a rock anthem or rock song, which I think is...
Wow, we did it, Joe.
I know. Oh always a surprise. Always a really fun little surprise when it's not one of the, like,
or
an
a
Eagles
reference
song.
to a classic movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of is, in a way.
Yeah.
Well, but once we explain this, we become clear. We see... Let me set the scene for you. We get a screen that says Elwood, Indiana. We see this truck, it's parked. We see these two young, hot people. Like, they're sitting on a blanket. This girl is wearing the most, like, 2000s outfit you've ever seen, despite the fact that this was 2010. I was like, she's not wearing low-rise jeans like that in 2010. Like, if I'm honest. But I digress. These two very pretty young people are making out, and they're in a cornfield, and we hear suddenly something happening in the cornfield. And the guy, Patrick, he's like, I just heard something. And the girl that he's with, Kim, is like, no, like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, come on, Patrick, like, come back. And first of all, I'm like, if that was me and I heard something in the cornfield, first of all, I wouldn't be making out in a cornfield. I would be like, what are we doing?
It's definitely like leaning into horror, like right off the bat of like,
oh, sure.
we're doing some Children of the Corn stuff. We're doing some,
yes,
which I will say, I think Supernatural does a really good job of like getting things in really fast. Of like, here are images that you've seen from horror movies. Be afraid now, because we've got 2 pages. Go.
Yeah, exactly. One thing about Supernatural is they will do a reference.
They will. They will always.
They will. Or an homage. Or
listen, baby, we've got 45 pages. We gotta get this ship rolling as quickly as possible. I don't have time to explain this to you. You remember that movie? Great, we're doing that. Go.
I feel like our explanations of the episode are longer than the actual episodes themselves, because we're like we have to sit back and like think about this with time that they didn't have.
Exactly, I know.
So, but he's like, oh, I hear something in the corn, and he goes out, like, into the corn. Densely packed corn. It's also the middle of the night, so it's dark. And the girl, Kim, she's like, oh my god, like, Patrick, where are you going? She runs after him, and suddenly we see Patrick again, and we see this bright light. And he's gone. And she comes out, and all of the corn is flattened in this big circle. We zoom out. Guess what? It's a crop circle. And then, if you didn't already guess that this is supposed to be an Aliens episode, it does an X-Files parody opening theme.
It's so good.
It's so good. Like, they ate that up.
It's actually so funny, because also, it says the truth is in there.
Yes, that's my favorite bit. Rewatching it this time, I was like, I'd forgotten that the truth was in there, and I was like, yeah.
The truth is in there. You know, honestly, and I always say that.
And the opening montage has, like, clips from, like, other episodes and things it's done extremely well.
Another really funny part about it is that it does do, like, the 3 quote-unquote main cast members, where it's like, it shows like Jared and then Jensen, and it also shows Misha Collins, who, mind you, is not in this episode.
No, not
he
important.
Was not
he's
there.
in the, like, last time on, but that's it. And like, we're like, don't worry about him. He's not. This isn't a myth episode. Don't worry about it then.
Like, it ain't about him.
It ain't about him.
But
they're
it
like,
is about him.
They know they're like.
I mean,
we have this thing where sometimes we'll be like not enjoying an episode, and then they'll like dangle Castiel in front of us like baby with keys, and I feel like that was this for this episode. They're like, no, like, don't worry, you can keep watching.
He's still a part of the cast, he's just not in this.
Yeah, they were trying to yeah, but
yeah,
it was funny.
I also love it because it's so many of the people, especially Kim Manners, which I believe Kim had died by this point, but like many people worked on the X-Files that it was such a like, yeah, of course you guys, like, of course you do an X-Files episode.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You can tell they had fun with this one.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And it was Showalter who has done a lot of the director driven episodes, and then he was our producing director on like the last season. Like everybody was firing on all, and it's a Ben episode. Like, everybody was firing on every cylinder. They were having the best time.
After we finish this opening sequence, we get this other sequence of a bunch of different people doing these almost looks like they're doing interviews, like a man on the street interview. And we start with this guy, and he's like, I'm here because I believe Elwood, Indiana has become a center of extraterrestrial activity. And then we cut to the girl from the cornfield, Kim. She's like, yeah, Patrick just vanished. And then like a couple different people, and they're like, oh, like, what's going on? Like, are aliens here to like push us on to the next page of humanity? And the first guy is like, and my name is Wayne Whitaker Jr., and I have recorded eyewitness accounts. And he is clearly trying to be some like UFO documentarian. We cut back, there's like the sheriff is there, is like 4 missing persons cases, people are lost, this is real, you know, all this stuff going back and forth. It's a very funny little sequence. Then we cut, another person in the sequence is this older woman, and she goes, don't you all know, like, it's fairies? And in that moment, we cut and we realize that Sam and Dean are talking to these people. And Dean's like, oh, fairies, right. I'm sure it is. Okay. Thank you. And then, mind you, Sam is soulless, so he's a jerk. So he's like, oh, like, UFOs weren't crazy enough for you? And she's like, well, what newspaper did you say you worked for? Because they're posing as reporters. And Sam's like, oh, well, if you want to add glitter to the glue you're sniffing, like, cool, but don't dump your wackadoo on us. And Dean's like, all right, nope, like, we're walking away now. It's over. And Sam's, like, throwing over, like, comments about her being, like, a crazy cat lady. And Dean's like, you know what? It's a problem with his blood sugar. So sorry. He just acts like this sometimes. They step away. And he's like, okay, you need to calm down. It's not that lady's fault that she's crazy. And Dean is obsessed. We have established that Sam does not have a soul. Dean is still trying to teach him to have a soul. And he's like, you need to have empathy. And I'm watching this like, he literally can't have empathy. Please, we just need to move past this.
There's some sort of insane commentary here to be made about, like, you know, your neurodivergent sibling.
It's fascinating to dissect.
It's fascinating to dissect because that was not the purpose at all of what had happened.
But it is a really interesting, like, how do you visualize it, or like how do you put it into any sort of context? It's like, well, we're just gonna focus on empathy and hope that makes sense, and we'll deal with that.
Also, in this conversation, like, Sam's like, what do you want me to do? And Dean's like, just fake it. Like, please. I'm begging you.
He's like, honestly, I can't. Just mask. I can't be bothered. But Sam's like, well, what do you want me to do? And Dean's like, you have to care. Like, you have to act like a person. I can't
tell you how to care.
No, literally. And he's like, yeah, like, honestly, just fake it. It's fine. And Sam's like, okay, last episode, you were telling me that I needed to be honest, so now you're telling me to fake it, so what's the tea? Like, what's the truth? And Dean's like, you know what? We just gotta get your soul back. I can't be doing this. And at that point, Dean says, hey, you want to be a real boy, Pinocchio? You gotta act the part. And Sam says, so you're saying you'll be my Jiminy Cricket? And Dean says, yeah, you freaking puppet. That's exactly what I'm saying. And which leads to, throughout the entire episode, the Jiminy Cricket Pinocchio references. They never stop. They never stop coming. We cut. We are now at this store, and it's called Brennan's Watchworks. And Dean and Sam walk in, and we see this older gentleman, and he is working on, like, a workbench, clearly fiddling with some tools, making watches, as one may expect. They walk in, the boys try to introduce themselves, be like, oh, like, we're with this newspaper, and the guy, Mr. Brennan, is like, is this about Patrick? Because he's gone. And Dean's like, yeah, he's missing. Yeah, that's what we wanted to ask you about. You know, your son was the first to disappear. And he's like, oh, first to be taken. And Sam and Dean are like, what do you mean, like, taken? What are you talking about? And he's like, no, like, get out. I don't want to have this conversation. My boy is never coming back. And Sam's like, you sound, like, really sure about that. Like, is there something that you're not telling us? Like, something you don't want to talk about? And Dean starts being like, okay, like, this guy's son's missing. We need to calm down a little. And Mr. Brennan's like, you know, after 72 hours, the odds of finding someone drops dramatically. Like, it's been weeks. He's not coming back. And Dean's like, okay. He's trying to defuse the situation. He's like, okay, if anything else comes to mind, just give us a call. We're gonna go. They leave. Then Mr. Brennan is like, is that all right? Like, just to himself. Weird. Keep that in mind for later. So Sam and Dean go back outside. And Dean's like, yeah, like, I think he's hiding something. Sam, you stay here. Just keep an eye on him. See what he does when the sun goes down. I'm gonna go look at the crop circles. And Dean's like, also, do not engage with him, maim, or in any way kill him. No judgment calls, nothing. You call me if anything happens. And then Sam is like, you know, Jiminy, I was fine for a whole year. I was good. I could do it. And Dean's like, you know what? I don't want to know what fine means to you. I don't want to know that definition.
Which, I mean, I think he's justified in saying that, given some of the things that Sam has said and done this season without a soul. So, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
I love Dean so much in this episode because he's so tired. Like, he's always tired, but this is the episode where he's like, every single fuck that he could give has just flown out the window, and he's like, I just need you to, like, function for a minute because I can't do this right now.
He's like the epitome of what the hell, sure.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? What the hell, sure.
Right. Fine.
This is
okay.
his most mothering. He's mothering the most in this episode.
This is, I think, the truest, most, like, oldest child nurturing, like, younger sibling episode.
I feel like every character in this show, they hand around, like, the charm that turns you into a put-upon mother. They hand it around every episode, and it's always
everyone
someone
gets their
different.
own. Yes, yes.
Yeah, but
everyone has experienced having to take on that mantle.
Yeah, exactly.
Except Sam.
I don't know. I feel like it's not quite the put upon mother, but he does have the vibe sometimes.
He definitely, I do think that I will give Sam, there's moments, especially later, where he's like, I need you to just be chill and stop trying to throw yourself in front of a moving car. Like, I think that, like, there's many a time where Sam comes in and is like, hey, man, you need to care about me or yourself or whatever, but, like, figure it out.
That's true. You get some, in later seasons, you can see Sam just being like, I'm tired. I just don't care.
Also, Sam becomes primary caregiver to, like, a teenage boy.
That's true. When Sam has to be the older brother eventually with Jack, which like, also, we bring up the episode where he mispronounces Ahsoka like every week.
Every week is a strong term.
Which I do think there's benefits of having writers on set.
So anyway, Dean's at this cornfield. He's looking around, and we're seeing these are, like, huge crop circles. And his phone rings, and it's Sam. And we see Sam, and he's sitting in a bar, and he's watching Mr. Brennan. And Dean's like, what is it? And Sam's like, this guy is not up to anything. Like, he's an alcoholic. That's the only thing he's doing. Maybe I should try to talk to him. You know, maybe, like, now he'll be a little looser. He'll say something. And Dean, as they're having this conversation, like, the wind is shifting, stuff is going on. And Dean's like, hang on. And Sam's like, what? Like, what is it? And suddenly, there's a bright light, much like we saw in the beginning. And Dean's like, oh my god, like, it's actually a UFO. Like, for real, it's a UFO.
He keeps Sam's running and being like, close encounter!
Literally. And Sam is like, oh, what kind? Of the first or second?
I love this scene and the way that it plays out, because it feels so realistic to me in a sense where, like, I would be both sides of this conversation.
No,
I would be, like, absolutely unable to explain anything that I am seeing or what is happening to me. I will just be running and trying to, like, scream into the phone. But I also would be like, that's not happening. You're dumb. Like...
Which is crazy if you think of it from the perspective of Sam and Dean, who see things that are supernatural and weird every single day. Mm-hmm. And so I love when, you know, we're on season 6 and they see something they've never seen before and they go, that's crazy. That could never happen. And I'm like, you guys hunt monsters for a living.
The best thing ever is when that happens in, like, season 12 and you're like, you at some point have to believe that they're you can't be surprised. And you are. Because, like,
you guys met God. Like,
it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Did you know this is a thing? Cool. Like, it's the childlike wonder that I appreciate.
That's what I'm saying. We need more childlike wonder in society. So Sam, of course, is like, oh, careful. They might do butt stuff. And because he's talking about, you know, probing. And Dean's like, empathy, Sam. Like, you need to have empathy. And at this moment, the waitress walks by and Sam's like, yeah, I'll take another beer. And he's like, they still after you? And Dean's like, oh my god, like, be so serious. And then suddenly the phone cuts. And Sam's like, Dean, like, are you there? We cut. We see Dean's phone is on the ground and he is not there. And then we see the waitress handing Sam the beer.
One thing about Soulless Sam, he is funny as hell. I'll give him that.
He does not care.
100%.
I feel like a lot of these episodes don't lean into how funny he is.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there's good episodes like this where it does take advantage of the fact that it's like, this is inherently kind of a comedic thing. But I think that there are times where it's like it tries to make a joke about it and it just gets frustrating because you're like, oh my god, like we gotta get rolling on this.
We have plot that we have to get through. I do think so. We've hit on one of my favorite topics, which is the comedy stylings of Jensen Ackles versus the comedy stylings of Jared Padalecki. Jensen can tell a joke in a way that like no one can. You realize. You can almost see it in, like, seasons 2, like, late season 1, early season 2, whenever writers are like, and directors are like, wait, this guy's funny. We can use this, and you start to see it more and more. But Jared doesn't have the same delivery in that place, but he's so good at situational comedy. Like, you put him in something like this, and he's so good at just playing off the entire moment and being, like, it's so interesting to watch the two different types of comedy between the two.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good point. And I've always said this, like, one of the things is even when Supernatural's at its worst, the acting is always really good.
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
And it's like I think that's one of the reasons that people were so drawn to the show, even when it had issues, even when there were, like, when there was a lot of stuff going on with it. Like, consistently, like, that was, like, when Jensen Ackles was on The Boys, and people were like, wait, he's, like, funny and, like, a good actor. I'm like, he's been a good actor the whole time.
The amount of times that we talked about, like, either of those guys, but definitely, like, anytime we would talk about Jensen going off on something else, we would be like, or we'd look at a show and we'd be like, if they had Jensen Ackles, that show would be 10% better. Like, it was just, without a doubt, that they were such consistent, like, watching them go from, like, 0 to 60, like, 0 to character, was masterful. Like, they truly 10 out of 10, they never ever get, and for all three of them, really, Misha and Jared and Jensen, like, they never got their flowers, and I'm so, personally so angry about it, because I was like, listen, I would love to see any of you bitches on other shows, like, try and do the range that some of these episodes push us.
Range of shit, like, seriously.
They deserve their flowers for simply being put through the insane ringer that they were put through. Like, you know, sometimes you're doing Dog Dean Afternoon, and sometimes...
Well, that's
100%. And doing it fully in it.
Yeah. I remember reading a thing about, because that's the thing too, is like they never phoned it. I've never watched Supernatural and been like, oh, they phoned that one in.
Absolutely
I think one thing that I also think about a lot is in the Mystery Spot episode, where Jared talked about it and was like, yeah, it was like one of the hardest episodes. Like, it was my least favorite episode because there was so much like screaming and crying. And I'm like, geez, I think that the show does do a good job of like utilizing their acting skills, because it's always having them crying or freaking out, or like
they were pushed, especially because they were the first 2 seasons, especially it was just them, and they're in every scene basically, and like that's grueling, especially for, you know, it was 21 episodes except for season 3, and then it goes up to 22 episodes in season 7, but like it was so many, so that's 8 days per episode. You get weekends maybe, but sometimes you do a Friday shoot. They would have a day off if they were doing the like opening bit where they're not there, but everything else it was just like, nope, you have to be there. Like, it was grueling, and they are the way that they are today. They have like some of the best work ethic, I think, in any TV show currently.
They just aren't doing it like that anymore. They ain't
doing it like that no more.
They just not doing it like that anymore. Well, it's also wild because, like we've talked about, obviously, the infamous episode Lazarus Rising, where, like, you know, Misha was supposed to be like a bit character, but because he ate down so thoroughly in that moment, everyone went, hold on.
What? So that's what we were talking earlier about. Creative should not be too online, and absolutely I agree. But you do need, this is something that I get really frustrated about with streaming specifically, is that you will film an entire season of a show, but you won't get to see, or you'll write a whole season of the show, and then you will film it, and you don't actually get to see if you've picked the right person, or if they can deliver the jokes, or if they have any chemistry. Like, all of these things are really crucial. So, yeah, like, a lot of the trajectory and the ideas for season 4 would have changed because they were getting dailies in with Misha, and they were like, oh, cool, we're seeing some stuff that's really fun to play with. I wasn't going to go in this direction necessarily. He wasn't going to be in this as much, but he's really fun and the actor's really pulling it. And like, what if we have him in more? And you don't get to do that in streaming because you've written all of those episodes up top. And so you don't get to play. And that's the play that I miss. It's the play of going, okay, these characters work so well, or this character doesn't work as well, but this one does. So maybe we pull this one in a little bit more. Yeah, I mean,
that's the joy of the medium of TV, I think, and that's why it makes me sad also, because it's like, that's why it's serialized, and that's when they're like, oh, we just made a big movie, and I'm like, well, you suck then.
That's not the point of television. Television is... this is my, like, my massive soapbox is that, like, television and film are two separate mediums. I work in a lot of different mediums. I work in comics, I work in film, I work in TV, I work in animation, and I work in audio, and I work in novels. But like, all of these things are very specific and different, and you have to know why different mediums work. And a lot of people don't understand the difference between TV and film. And the truth is, TV is about character. TV is about static character. You can have some plot, but ultimately it's just characters in different scenarios and situations. They never grow, they never change, they never learn until the very end, where you get to see the like small trajectory changes that they will have made along the way. But ultimately it's putting them in all of these different moments and scenarios and see how that plays out. Film is plot. Film is all about plot. That is why you have to say, this is what the plot is for this, you know, what this movie is. It's about this. It's about how this character, what is the arc of that character? Whereas you don't have to necessarily do that in TV. They should have an arc, but it is not as big and it is not as changing. Like, you don't want that character to change. Otherwise, you don't have a TV show.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really, like, we've talked about similar stuff before. Yeah. Like, it's so validating to hear it from someone that isn't in our little echo chamber.
Yeah.
But I think it is. It's very much like we miss out. I think people complain so much about, like, quote unquote filler episodes, and I'm like, well, really what you're getting with those is like character work, and you're getting like fun situations, or even if it's not fun, like, you're getting an interesting thing to look at that might not always be like driving the main plot forward. But so it's like people miss out on that. So I think there's an idea that it's like, oh, well, if we just cut that out and just get to the plot, and then we have 8 episodes a season, and it takes 4 years to complete any one. It's like, okay, so, like, I actually don't care by the time the next season comes out.
Yeah.
Because also, like, filler episodes, sure, they may not push plot forward, but they push character. Like, they give you insight on character. I used to, one of the times that the social media of Supernatural did not like me very much is I said that you could have the first 2 seasons of Supernatural on in the background. And so many people were like, how dare you? Like, those 2 seasons are great, and you just hate everything, and you only love cast. And I was like, no, I recognize that it is a daunting task to get into Supernatural. Like, it's incredible. There's a lot of episodes, and you may not feel like you can do that. If you put it on in the background, you will be crying by the end of season 2, and you won't know why. So then you'll go back and watch it and recognize it. But part of that is because there were so many filler episodes that build out that relationship.
Yeah. And it's so interesting that with the term filler has changed what it's meant to be. Because filler came from anime. Filler came from, we have to make up new shit while we wait for the manga to catch up to where we are in the anime. I didn't know that.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like with Naruto or Sailor Moon. Like, there's a whole season that is just filler for Sailor Moon. They made up a very racist plot line in Sailor Moon. Where Tuxedo Mask loses his memory and becomes the Moonlight Knight, completely made up. That's what filler is.
Yeah.
So when people when they say filler, they mean anything that is a character-driven episode rather than a plot-driven episode.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yes.
And obviously filler was big in Naruto, filler is big in One Piece. Like, there's literally a whole website to watch One Piece to cut it out.
Filler episodes are like people's like favorite episodes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, I would also argue, like, if we're looking at it, like, I loved this episode. This is kind of a filler episode. By that logic. And, like, these are some of my favorite episodes, and especially I think it's why I think so fondly of, like, season 1 and 2.
Yeah.
1 is the show just had a very different vibe
Oh, 100%.
But the other thing, too, is, like, so much of it is just you're getting to meet these characters. You're getting to see, like, how did they react to this wacky thing? Because I think
100%.
something that bogs down this show at times, and we've talked about it a lot, is, like, we just get stuck in being like, we gotta move the plot, but then because it has so many episodes, not a lot of progress is being made on the plot.
Sure.
And I think that's the thing that's happening now with, like, Soulless Sam, where it's like, there are some really fun, interesting episodes with being like, how does this affect him on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like, okay, we've seen Sam and Dean have this same argument 4 or 5 times about Sam not having a soul.
I think that's absolutely I think that's absolutely fair. I think that there is I think Ben Edlund's a really good example of a writer who understands filler episodes super well and, like, knows how to play in the, like, the game space of that, right? Like, what is the game of the show? Well, we're dealing with this aspect, so what if we just play this game? Whereas I think that, like, especially if you're a newer writer, you don't always know that. Not every new writer is as bad. Like, some other writers are very good at it, but if you don't understand the purpose of a filler episode to be a character-driven episode, then I think sometimes those are things that do fall flat, and that's it. It is because TV is still relatively new that, like, and sort of poppy that people don't take the time to sort of identify and, like, give them specific, like, talk about it in this particular way, and so
to appreciate it as its own medium with its own artistic standards.
And you know, and sometimes I don't want to hate on something like Supernatural too hard, or really any procedural, because like there is a formula to it that is made with the knowledge that someone might just be turning on the TV and they're seeing this episode, so they're repeating something over and over about the characters, about the plot. You know, the two boys have to have their little conversation by the car at the end of the episode every week, because you might miss an episode.
Up every time.
Every time.
I eat it up. I love how they're like, no chick flick moments. We don't talk about our feelings, but we talk about our feelings every week.
Every episode, baby.
Feelings more than any woman on any show ever.
100%.
Like, they like
Absolutely.
I don't think there's ever been a woman or anyone of any gender who's talked about their feelings on screen more than Sam and Dean Winchester.
There's a level to it. Like, I love it so much because I have talked to men who like the show as well, and so many men who have liked the show.
Amazing.
I know
that they exist.
They do exist. I promise you, they do exist. But like, I've talked to so many men that like the show, and they're very much like, because that's how my brother and I talk to each other. And I was like, cool. And that's adorable. It's really lovely. You do not get to like make any jokes about emotional women. Like, if you admit to this, then you can't make any jokes.
Which is why it's so funny that they make the joke in the show where they're like, you're going to be a girl about this? And you're like, y'all do that in the same episode.
Y'all are so much worse. Y'all are so much worse than girls ever are.
No, literally. Now I don't remember where we were. No, I remember where we were.
Okay. Sam was being a dick, but kind of funny about it.
Yes. Which he continues to do. So, to sort of finish up that scene, the last clip is Sam in the cornfield, in the crop circle, and he finds Dean's phone, and is like, where's Dean? He doesn't say that, but that's the vibe. So, then we cut. We're at this camp that has all these RVs, and we're looking, and like some of them have like the little fairy lights on them, some of them have little like UFO sort of paraphernalia. Clearly these are like alien people who are alien enthusiasts. We see Sam, and he's talking to Wayne, the guy from before who was like almost introducing it as a show, who was like, I've captured all this footage of aliens. So Sam was like, so UFOs are real. And this guy is like, well, yes. The truth is out there. And Sam's like, okay, so how do we find them? And he's like, well, that's a really good question. I mean, one we've kind of been trying to answer. And Sam starts going through like a bunch of papers and stuff that Wayne has just handed him. And Sam's like, so what is this? And he's like, oh, it's all these like eyewitness accounts and like all this proof. And Sam's like, yeah, okay, I don't really care about all that. My brother was just abducted. So, you know.
In fairness, I don't think he thinks about that either, but...
Yeah, he's like, yeah, he really just like, this is a means to an end kind of conversation. We gotta get through it. And this girl walks up, and she's like, your brother was abducted? Oh my god, like, that's so sad. And Sam's like, it's okay, I've had time to process. And she's like, was it when you were kids? He's like, oh no, it was like half an hour ago. So anyway, yeah. Anyway, so you've been hunting aliens for like decades, and you have nothing but a bunch of like crackpot theories. Like, you guys like kind of suck at this. And he goes to walk away, and Wayne is clearly like put off. But you can tell he probably has had people say this to him before, because he is, you know, an alien hunter.
Okay, spoilers for the end of the episode, but I do think it's very funny that, considering what he actually is,
that is true.
His reaction, because you know he was like, I thought I was doing a really good bit, and this guy just comes up to him and is like, actually, you fucking suck. And he's like, oh.
Yeah. It is really enjoyable how deep in he is on this particular cover that he is. I also want to point out that I love that it's Robert Picardo of Star Trek Voyager, and I...
Oh my god, it totally is!
Yeah. I did not watch Voyager.
It's been so long since I've watched Voyager.
I didn't watch it then, and so I had no idea, and then I was watching it, and I was like, I know you. What? Why do I know you?
The amount of people on these shows that have been in so many things. That was like, I remember Mel, my spouse, and I, we were watching Psych, and I swear every person in that show, like non-main character, like I was like, that person was in Supernatural, that person was in Supernatural, that person, like every single person. It was crazy. I know Mel at one point was like, oh my god, I get it.
If you ever decide to watch Once Upon a Time, it's the same thing.
Yeah. Like, oh god. No, literally. No, watching Once Upon a Time with my mom when it was coming out, she was so tired of me, because every time I would be like, hey, that person was in Supernatural, and she's like, stop mentioning that stupid show, which my mother called Supernatural worse X-Files, which is funny considering all the time. And she also would be like, why are you listening to all this classic rock, whatever? And I'm like, well, because I'm a fan of Supernatural when I was in high school, whatever.
Yeah.
But like, no, so every time I brought up Supernatural, when we were watching Once Upon a Time, she'd be like, oh my god.
That's like my dad being like, oh, I've raised my daughter well to like all this classic rock. I'm like,
you didn't do as much.
Winchester. Thank you to Dean Winchester, who gave me my music taste.
100%. Yes.
I'm like, I think I know more about Heat of the Moment than you do, genius. Like,
I think I've heard.
No, exactly. I say to my dad, who was listening to it when it came out.
Yeah. You're not a real fan, though. Not a real fan.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you don't get the visceral reaction of that scene where Cass is on the bus when you hear "Goodbye, Stranger." Like, I'm sorry that I'm just more aware than you.
I remember when my mom was like, why the hell are you listening to Kansas? And I was like, don't. I
you
can't
get into it. And I need you to actually not talk over it. Like,
yeah, like, I hear those opening notes and then something comes over me, and it's a good and bad reaction at the same time.
I come originally, Ollie, I went to school to be a youth pastor. And
wow.
I know. Pivoted.
That's okay. My grandfather was a minister, so I feel
that. Vibes. That thing that happens when they play like a worship song to like get you to come to Jesus or like come to the altar is truly what it feels like Kansas does. Like carry on my way.
That's okay. That is actually so real. Like, you've just made me like, I've just like connected the dots in my head. You know? Like, that's actually exactly it.
Is Carry On Wayward Son not just?
I mean, this is Supernatural is Bible. Supernatural is Bible fan fiction at the end of the day.
Yes. I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of Bible fan fiction, not the least of which is Dante's Inferno. Yes. Like, that is...
We literally just talked about that last episode.
Because I recently read Dante's Divine Comedy. I don't know if I love the translation that I read, but the experience of reading Dante's Divine Comedy which is the original Bible fan fiction.
Yes,
when you grew up on the modern Bible fan fiction of that is Supernatural, it is harrowing.
Which one was more impactful?
I don't know. I mean, one of us. Okay. One of them brought us the Omegaverse. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
one brought us Hosier, and the other brought us the Omegaverse.
Now we're talking.
You have led me down into a curious path of, like, what were fandoms in Dante's day, like, doing? Like, what were they... Do you know
I want to read Divine Comedy fan discourse. Like,
I know.
Yes, I'm talking.
I'm so into that idea of, like, what were the vibes? What were... And you know it was the monks. It was, like, all the monks who read this and were like... Because they were like, we're the only ones who can read, so we'll read this. And, like, all of them are the ones...
I have a theory that I'm like, that's why people, I mean, there was nothing else to do back then other than to, like, join the church. So, like, it kind of makes sense that people, I think back then, they were just, like, the earliest form of stan Twitter.
Exactly.
I have had this coming from church spaces and, like, seeing how interactions are all very similar. I was like, I do genuinely think of, like, church is just part of fandom. Like, especially with, like,
the most toxic fandom of them all.
Because there's like Catholics, there's Pentecostalism, there's Presbyterian, there's like all of these different subsects who all believe that their version of the thing is the best version of the thing. Like, we have been doing this for a long time, and when people are very dismissive of fandom, I get very incensed because I'm like,
listen, at Plato's Symposium, they were arguing whether Achilles or Patroclus was the bottom or the top. Like, we have been having these important discussions, and
I also think
time.
Like, not to make it like hashtag serious, but I do think that there is something to be said about, like, fandom taking the place of religion in certain in culture, to the point where it's like, you know, people talk about, like, I saw, especially like when it was popular, like, people are talking about MCU movies. Not to sound like people are talking about Iron Man more than they're talking about Jesus. That's what's wrong with society.
But I
think there is something to be said about, like, people find this community through fandom that you may have traditionally found through worship, and it's really fascinating.
Exactly, I think that's exactly it. I think that, like, fandom has become third spaces, specifically more for women, like, just from the data. Like, men are still within it, but, like, fandom has become that third space for so many women because they feel much safer, frankly, than in other spaces. And so it becomes like all of the things that we do as a people exist in fandom in the same, and you see it in church as well. And so you can sort of start to, like, pull back on a really interesting sort of academic way of going, oh, cool. So, like, people move in these ways. We always need something to believe in, be it God or Dean Winchester.
Very true. I mean, he's kind of like my prophet in a lot of ways. When things are hard, I look to Dean Winchester and say, what would he do? And then I don't do that.
And I'm like, actually, that's the opposite of what I should do.
Yeah, so he's a good example of what not to be at times.
Yeah, I agree.
Because the worst part is that sometimes I do understand how, like, really, really religious Christians feel when I'm like, oh, you know, Supernatural drives me crazy, and then I'll see, like, a clip from, like, Lazarus Rising, and I'll be like, oh, I feel the Lord. I feel the Lord's presence.
So it's really interesting. I know we keep getting off topic, but, like, it is really interesting. My spouse really liked Neil Gaiman and had to reckon with all of that stuff as the information came out. And it was really interesting as that was happening, because I was like, oh, I've done this, but, like, my whole life with church stuff. Like, there is a different level of, like, it's the same thing that happened with Harry Potter. Like, I wasn't allowed to read it, so I was sort of watching from afar going, oh, I know those things that you're feeling, because I've felt those things too all the time, because there was constantly a scandal within church of, like, somebody doing something horrible. And so I learned at, like, a very early age how to, like, not how to get over it or anything, but, like, because I don't think that there's a real way yet even to say it, but, like, I was just like, oh, I know how to exist in those feelings. I know how you are feeling, and I know how to meet you in that space. Because, it's difficult, and you don't know now how to engage with the thing that actually brought you so much, not only joy, but, like, it shapes who you are as a person. And it is interesting that, like, we've been having those conversations in religious spaces, and now it is happening in fandom spaces in a very, like, sort of comparison manner.
Yeah, and I think there's a certain aspect, too, of we used to have a don't meet your idols idea, but now with social media and with everything, people are more accessible than they've ever been. So it's like, it's kind of impossible not to at least know a little bit about some people, unless they truly are like, I'm not on anything, I'm off the face of the earth, except for, like a Suzanne Collins, where she's like, here, I'm going to drop a book, and then you will not hear from me.
Or like, you know what?
The goal.
I love Japanese mangakas who are like, you're not even gonna know what my face looks like. I'm a one-eyed cat. Gege Akutami. Or
literally.
Eiichiro Oda is a fish. That's all I know. And that's okay.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, anyway.
Yeah.
The problem is we're having all these really interesting experiences, these interesting conversations. Like, guys, this episode is gonna be 4 hours long.
Y'all, I've got work I have to get to at some point, unfortunately.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, we'll get through it. So, anyway, at the end of this scene, Sam is, like, walking away. Clearly, he's like, this guy doesn't know anything. And this young woman who was like, oh, your brother got taken, she's like, oh, I'd like to help if I can. And Sam gives her a little smile. Then we cut back to the cornfield. Dean appears and starts shooting his gun. And then he looks around and realizes he's back. Then we do another cut. He pushes open the door to the motel room, and Sam is in bed with the woman. And he's like, oh my god, like, Dean, you're here. And the girl's like, oh, your brother, he's back. And Dean's like, wow. And Sam is like, okay, right, like, you gotta go. So the girl leaves, and she's like, okay, you guys can deal with whatever you've got going on.
She does ask Sam before she leaves, because she is an alien freak. She's like, or she asks Dean, she's like, so how was it? And Dean's like, I was just traumatized, like, leave.
Yeah.
I have to respect her for that.
She's like, okay, so, like, what was it like? And he's like, well, they were grabby, okay?
I'm sure the fic exists of, like...
The way we have this conversation every episode, where we're like, we have this...
But specifically this.
This is also what is missing from shows these days. Not to sound like an old grandma, but, like, shows these days are too linear and don't give opportunities for questions about the fan fiction that could have occurred. So
that's what I'm saying. Retweet.
Exactly.
So she leaves, and Sam's like, so I can see that you're upset. And Dean's like, well, yes, I was abducted, and you were with a woman.
In Sam's defense, if this had been Dean from season, like, 1 or 2, Dean would have done that. But Dean is older now, and he's like, girl, that's fucked up.
I feel like Dean would have said that he would have done it, but he wouldn't actually have done it. Like, that's, I feel, a very Dean thing. He's very much about the performance of masculinity than, like, the actual doing it, which we can't have that conversation.
Yeah, we have that conversation every week, but...
But he's like, dude, I was abducted by aliens, and Sam's like, I was looking into it. And he's like, oh, you were looking into it? I was gone for, like, an hour, and this is what you're doing? And Sam's like, dude, you've been gone for, like, a while. Like, it's 4 a.m. And Dean's like, no way. And Sam's like, whoa, it's a UFO time slip. That's, like, falls in line with all the theories, because the guy from before was talking about time slips when Sam was like, you're so stupid, you don't know what you're talking about. So Dean's like, oh, shoot, you did actually, like, do research. Okay. So Sam's like, okay, tell me what happened. And Dean is embarrassed because he's like, it's a stereotypical, like, alien story. He's like, well, okay. So there was a bright white light. And Sam reaches over and he pats Dean's leg. And he's like, it's okay. This is a safe room.
I love this so much.
And he's trying.
He's
trying.
And Dean's like, okay, so I was, like, somewhere else. And there were these beings that were too bright to look at. And they were trying to put me on a table. And Sam's like, oh, like a probing table. And he's like, don't say that. Don't call it that. And Sam's like, so what happened next? And Dean's like, well, I started fighting back. Then I started swinging. And I don't think anybody had done that before. But I won. And then they let me go. And Sam's like, all right, you should probably go get cleaned off. Go take a shower. And to which I'm like, oh, gross.
Ow.
Okay.
Ow.
Huh.
I'm like, what are we implying here?
Ugh.
Ow.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
It's
episode 69. Don't worry about it.
Please.
You're so right, actually. So, next scene. The boys are in a diner. Likely thing for them to do, to go to a diner. And Dean has this, he's kind of crashing out, right? He's like, okay, so there's demons, there's angels, there's ghosts, there's all this stuff, and aliens are actually real? Like, what's next? Hobbits? And the waitress walks by, and Sam, like, looks at her and kind of checks her up and down, like, checks her out, and, like, nods at her, and Dean's like, dude, like, I'm having a moment. How are you? You are flirting right now. And Sam's like, okay, like, and Dean's like, dude, reality is, like, crashing down around us, and that's what you're concerned about? And Sam's like, okay. Listen. I need you to answer this for me. So say you have a soul, and you're on the case, and your brother gets abducted, and Dean's like, yeah, you do everything to get him back. And Sam's like, yes, but what if there's nothing else you can do? Like, should you just sit there and suffer? And Dean's like, well, yes. You feel the loss. You have to sit there. And
I think that this is such a good example of, like, Dean's psyche and, like, his whole entire character ethos in this moment, where Sam's like, but what am I supposed to do? And Dean's like, suffer. That
it's
what
very Catholic.
Are there other options?
He's so Catholic in this moment.
He's so Catholic, yes.
He's
also for context here, if our listeners don't remember, Soulless Sam can't sleep either. So he's like, well, I can't sleep. So, like, what am I supposed to do at that time? And Dean's answer is just suffer.
To be honest with you, literally everything about Soulless Sam seems fine. Like, not caring about everyone's feelings and also, like, not sleeping. Can you imagine what you could get done? Like, the force to be reckoned with? Part of me is I'm sort of wondering if this was, like, somebody's, like, secret desire dream. They're, like, their personal fantasy. Like, what if I didn't care? And what if I didn't sleep?
That actually sounds kind of great.
I have talked on this show before about how being a fan of the anime and manga Full Metal Alchemist and also Supernatural at the same time, two shows about brothers who fight God. But in both cases, you have the younger brother who's like, oh, I can't sleep. And that's like a big thing. And also the younger brother thinks he's a monster the whole time, to the point where, so the Soulless Sam seasons send me. Granted, Alphonse has a lot of empathy, and that's kind of a part of the problem. But the Soulless Sam seasons send me, because I'm like, well, happened to my good friend Alphonse Elric, and he figured it out, and he was 15, so suck it up.
Be an adult, Sam.
Yeah, Sam Winchester, you're in your big age, you need to get this on lock. So Sam's like, well, you just want me to, like, sit there and suffer. And Dean's like, well, no, if you had a soul, your soul wouldn't let you, like, turn it off. Like, you would be suffering. And Sam's like, so if you have a soul, you have to suffer. And Dean's like, yes. And Sam's like, oh, so like all the million times you almost called Lisa. So suffering's a good thing. And Dean's
kind of got him there. He kind of got his ass. Like,
yeah. Dean's like, okay.
I love anytime we remember and bring up Lisa. Like, I know that this is fairly recent with Lisa, but, like, it's still, like...
Yeah.
Lisa, my beloved.
It makes sense. We're big Lisa fans here.
We're Lisa fans. I'm like, she's too good for him. Especially with Lisa, I feel like people didn't know how to act about her. But that's, like, every woman on Supernatural. People don't know how to act.
Yeah, unless it's, like... not just like, a Lisa problem.
Oh, yeah, no. It's every woman on Supernatural... I can't get into it. But my point is with Lisa, I'm like, I think that I wanted to get ahead of it and say when I'm like, I think she's too good for him, it's not because I'm like, I just want to get Lisa out of the way for Destiel. I'm just like genuinely like, why would you be with him?
It was very clearly like, she was like, hey, you're like a single mom. You've got other things that you need to worry about. And
literally. She's also one of the realest characters on Supernatural.
I love Lisa,
She calls Dean out on his shit in a way that's just too realistic. Like, she was too good. We couldn't keep her. She had to go.
The amount of times I was like, what if we bring Lisa back? Because I was like, she's so like interesting. She's so interesting.
What did they have against Lisa, Megan?
Oh, nothing. It wasn't anything against Lisa. It was generally just like, we can't make this work logically because of other things that we need to do.
No!
Yeah. I know. But I was like, but what if we tried with Lisa? Because I find that to be such an interesting aspect that is always sort of out there to play with.
Yeah.
But
and well, in Supernatural season 16, we'll have
there you go.
Episode.
Exactly.
Maybe Supernatural season 16 is just about Lisa.
That would be great. And it's just about her like living her normal life. Like she's whatever.
And I'd be sad.
It starts when she and Ben have their memories wiped and it's just following them as other things.
Exactly. It's just like
apocalypses happen and she's like, I don't know what's going on anyway.
Yeah, it's just like regular suburban drama with the backdrop of like every so often it's like, oh, why are there all these comets falling from the sky suddenly? Exactly. Okay, we gotta get this done. We can do this. So Dean's like, anyway, suffer. And Sam's like, okay, whatever. I don't want to have this conversation. So what do we do about like the whole alien thing? And Dean's like, okay. We need to do research. We need to read up on all the UFO lore and hey, what's going on with that guy? And Dean points to the window and we see this guy. He's wearing a red hat and he looks pissed off and he's staring at Dean. And Sam's like, who are you talking about? And Dean's like, the guy in the window. And Sam's like, oh, you mean the cop? Because there's a cop there. And Dean's like, no, not the cop. That guy. He's gone. And then he's gone. Something fishy's happening. We cut. Dean is on the phone with Sam. He's in the motel room. And Sam's basically like, yeah, like I went to the library and like there's all this stuff about UFOs. But it's like so much of it's basically hogwash. Then Dean's on the computer. He's doing like research online and he's like, yeah, this is not happening. But let's keep digging. I'll see you when you get back. And then Major Tom, ground control to Major Tom starts playing.
This is one of those moments where you remember that half of the CW is Warner Brothers because you're like, how the hell did they get that song?
I was worried because I was watching this on Netflix and I'm always worried that they're like not gonna have the original and I was like, and then it started playing and I was like, okay, cool, fine, we're fine. Everything's fine.
I'm actually glad that we've started watching it through less than legal means.
Not Netflix.
Yeah, because we're watching like the DVD rip versions.
Yeah.
Which I also have some of them as physical media, but like, and so now like there were times where we were like, that's not the right song when we've watched it on Netflix, and now that we watch it like the DVD versions, I will always be like, oh, I know that was the song.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this one jumped out to me. I was like, oh, it's the real song. Oh my god.
Yeah. Yeah. It was glorious.
Mm-hmm. So this happens. The lights start flickering. Dean's like, oh god, like not again. It's so over. And then the door flies open. And this little teeny tiny ball of like orangish, yellowish light flies in. And you've seen this GIF before. You have seen this GIF before if you're online. It flies up to Dean's face. You see him sort of leaning in and he squints his eyes and he's looking at it and he goes, nipples? And we realize it's a little fairy. It's a little fairy that just appears to us as a big ball of light. We do not see any nipples.
A little fairy on the screen with a big fairy? Sorry, I had to say it.
Klaudia.
Okay. Sorry, I had to say it.
Anyway.
Continue.
So, yeah, I will. Don't worry. So they start fighting, right? So Dean's fighting this little ball of light, and it's low-key beating his ass. Until they get close to, like, the microwave, and he manages to trap it in and starts the microwave. And this is, like, the second time someone has died via microwave on this show.
Oh my god, I forgot about that.
Because there was another episode where a guy tried to kill himself by putting his head in a microwave, but, like, it definitely would not have worked that way, but it's television, it's not real, so it's fine.
If I had a nickel for every time someone died by a microwave on Supernatural, I'd have 2 nickels.
There's no, it must happen again. I believe, I have faith.
Okay, write that down.
For Supernatural Season 16, when we have the microwave episode. Anyway.
I mean, it's a suburbia, if it's a suburbia season, then absolutely, microwaves going awry.
Period. Dean slams the microwave shut, microwaves this fairy, and it, like, explodes all over the inside of the microwave. We cut, it's a little later, Sam is back, he's looking inside the microwave, and he's like, see what? And Dean's like, what do you mean, see what? Like, there's blood and disgustingness inside the microwave, and we see it from Dean's perspective, and, like, there's gore and stuff from this exploded fairy, but Sam, we see it from his perspective, he doesn't see anything. It's like there's nothing there. And Sam's like, okay, let's start over. What did you see? And Dean's like, well, it was a little naked lady. She was glowing. She was hot. She had nipples. And she attacked me. And Sam's standing there and he's like, I'm not supposed to laugh, right? Like, am I supposed to laugh at that? Because, like, I don't know what else to do. So anyway, did she have wings? And Dean's like, I don't know why you would say, like, why would you say that? And Sam's like, oh my god, she totally did. And Dean's like, okay, yes, but how did you know? And Sam's like, dude, remember what that crazy crystal lady was talking about? This is like a fringe theory that people have to explain UFOs. You know, these encounters have been going on for centuries. They're not extraterrestrials, they're ultra-terrestrials. So, like, something that's, like, not from another planet, but from, like, something somewhere else.
You know he loved making up that word.
I've never heard it made up. I'm sure people have said that before.
I've never heard somebody use the word ultra-terrestrials in my life.
Let's go to the Google machine.
Oh. It just feels like a very Sam Winchester thing.
Ultra-terrestrial,
well,
they originate from Earth and are just like humans.
Well,
it very much feels like Ben Edlund heard this thing about ultra-terrestrials and was like, do you know what?
So Sam's like, okay, like, you know, nowadays people rationalize these things as being like aliens from space, but they used to call them, and he turns his laptop around, which has all the information about fairies, and Dean goes, Smurfs! And Sam's like, no, fairies. And Dean's like, hell no. And Sam's like, no, listen, it makes sense, because there's the fairies, they've got the glowing lights, the abduction, it's all UFO stuff, but it's not. And Dean's like, you cannot be serious. And Sam says, quote, hey, you're the one who pizza rolled Tinkerbell, I'm just doing the math. Which he ate such a good line.
Pizza rolled as a verb is just...
Pizza rolled is so good. Every time I microwave something, I'm gonna be like, I'm gonna go pizza roll that. Like, that's
really
so
pizza
good.
rolled the situation. Like, I don't know what that means, but I like it as a sentence.
It's really good. But Sam's like, okay, we have a lead. And Dean's like, where to, like, what do you mean? Then we cut. And if you'll recall the lady from the beginning who Sam accosted and was like, oh, you're a crazy cat lady, whatever. We cut. We're in her trailer. And she has it's very tough to describe in the sense that it's exactly what you would expect it to be, right? She's this older lady. She has, like, all these little figurines of, like, fairies and different sort of sprites, and, like, crystals and all that kind of stuff. And she has this very, like, storybook way of talking, and she's like, there's fairies and sprites and Spriggans and Bogarts and Brownies. The little people have many names.
I'm obsessed with her. I don't care. The boys hate on her, but I'm like, and she's living her best life.
Mm-hmm.
I love this actress and I love this character. Like pre-recording, we were talking about how I've read every episode, and I have strong opinions and like strong memories of reading the different scripts. And I remember reading this script specifically because I remember reading how this woman was written, and I was like, this woman is insane, and I love her. Like, she is written so fun. I love it.
Yeah. I feel like it's like there needs to be more levity on television. We need to have fun.
What if we had fun, guys?
Whatever happened to being silly?
What if TV was for fun, and then you can be sad once in a while? That's when the sads hit, is when you had a lot of fun here.
Yeah.
Yes. So they kind of go back and forth where they're like, oh, like, so Tinkerbell's a fairy and like Santa Claus or all this stuff, all fairies and like trolls and whatever. And she's like, well, yes, there's like lots of different kinds of fairies. So they come in many shapes and sizes. They're mystical and mischievous. They come from another realm. And Dean's like, oh, the fairy realm. And Sam's like, it's like another dimension. And she's like, yes, but only people who've been there can see them here in our world. And Dean's like, right, so why would they be abducting people? And she's like, well, they only take firstborn sons. And there's many theories about why they would take someone.
What a specific, requirement as a fairy. Be like, not only do I need sons, I need firstborn. I need that prime meat.
Yeah, and also, I just have to say, the fact that we have this specific piece of lore for Supernatural, but in real life you have the idea of like that the idea of changelings probably came from like kids who ended up neurodivergent. Autistic Dean is now canon. Like, that's canon what I'm now.
Saying. So this lady then says, personally, I think they're taken to Avalon to service Oberon, king of the fairy. And Sam turns to Dean and says, Dean, did you service Oberon, king of the fairies? And Dean is like, okay, so anyway, let's say they're real. What can we do about them?
What's the fanfic?
We need to take a moment.
Where's the fanfic about that? I'm going on AO3 right now.
Oh my god, she does this. And then
Dean Winchester and Oberon? That has to be something, right?
It's gotta be. Gotta be.
I'm just...
Dean Winchester.
See, she does this every episode. She searches AO3 and I have to listen to her type for 10 minutes.
There's 41 fics in this search. 41! 41!
Wow.
Whoa.
And we'll be investigating that after the show.
There's ones even involving Castiel, mind you.
Well, he wasn't in the episode, so you know.
He must
gotta get involved somehow.
Good to know it's there, though. The ever-reliable AO3. So Dean's like, okay, what can we do about them? And this lady's like, excuse me? Like, do you mean, like, interact with them? And Dean's like, yes, like, forcefully interact. And she's like, okay. They love cream, if you leave some fresh cream. And they hate iron. And the dark fairy burn when they touch silver. Or you can spill salt or sugar in front of them, and then they'll have to stop and count every grain. I'm like, okay, vampire lore. So Dean's like, wow, okay. That's a lot. But thank you. This is all good information. They get up to leave, and she goes, no, finish your tea. And, they are drinking tea out of the tiniest little teacups you've ever seen, and they're very cute, honestly. Like, I'm like, I kind of want that teacup. Dean's like, I love the vibe in here. I feel it. It's great. And Sam's like, it's like if Sedona, Arizona crapped in here. And she kind of looks at him and is like, what? And Dean's like, no, it's cuterific. That's what it is. Cuterific. And then Sam's like, do you have bigger cups?
Like, this is such specific wording.
That's so...
yeah. It is a known thing. Sedona, Arizona is a known place where... Yes. Not only is it a known place, but it is a known place where writers of certain ages will go and have, like, holiday homes
Yes.
So, I don't think... I know one person has a home in New Mexico. I think somebody else had a home in Sedona, from my memory.
Wow.
So I think that this is a little inside baseball on that.
I will say I have been there. I went on a trip when I was very young there, and I knew exactly what they were talking about when I read that, or when I saw that.
It's a very specific vibe there, yeah.
Yes, it is. They leave, and Dean's like, oh my god, I feel like I have crazy on me. And Sam's like, no, but you did sit in some glitter, though. So they're like, okay, we don't really know what to do quite next. Why don't we give Bobby a call? So they're like gonna be like, okay, we need to consult Bobby. But as they're doing that, very conveniently, they realize that Mr. Brennan, the watch guy, is loading a bunch of cream into his car. And Dean's like, hey, isn't that the watch guy? So they go to the watch store. Dean and Sam arrive at this shop. And Dean's like, okay, I'm going to check out the store. Like, you will look around. Dean goes in to the place, and he's sneaking around, and he slowly opens the door to the workshop, and he looks in the back, and what does he see but a bunch of very small men making watches? And Dean is so weirded out, he just walks right back out.
I'm surprised they didn't make another Hobbit joke here. They only made one Hobbit joke when I feel
they don't want to no beating a dead cat, you know?
Yeah. I was also I'm sure there were limits. Do you know?
Yeah.
I'm sure there were some limits put upon
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be all Hobbit jokes all the way down if we aren't careful. So we cut. Sam is actually back at the bar he's watching Mr. Brennan while Dean went through the shop, right? And Sam answers the phone. Dean has called him. And Dean's like, it's freaking full of Keeblers over here, man. And he's like, dude, like, there's little, like, elves making the watches. And Sam's like, all right, let me get back to you.
I also have to say, I'm surprised he didn't make a Santa Claus joke here. He made a Keebler elf joke, but not a Santa Claus joke.
I can't stress to you enough probably how many jokes were cut from this script. Do you know what I mean? I'm sure that this was like 60 pages and
So Sam approaches the bar. He goes up to Mr. Brennan and he's like, hey. And Mr. Brennan's like, don't talk to me. And Sam's like, no, it's not about that. Like, your work is just beautiful. Did I ever mention that? And Mr. Brennan's clearly confused. And Sam's like, no, the watches. Like, I just can't figure out how one person can put out so much product. I mean, if I didn't know any better, I'd say you had a bunch of elves working for you. Except I do know better, and you have a bunch of elves working for you. And he's like, no,
the delivery of that line, like, he ate him up, like, a little bit. Like,
and he's like, okay, you're crazy. And Sam's like, okay, so I'm not crazy, first of all. How does a father sell his son for a bunch of watches? I mean, I assume you have a soul. So what's your excuse? Which is also hilarious, because, like, this guy doesn't know Sam doesn't have a soul. He's just like, damn, okay.
An extremely good example of, like, Jared Padalecki just, like, eating this moment. Like, it's such a good Jared scene where he's, like, living in that, like, what if we play a soulless Sam as deliciously as possible?
Period. So, Mr. Brennan's like, no, it wasn't like that. And Sam's like, well, how was it? Then we cut. And Dean is walking on the sidewalk. He's going to meet up with Sam. And he sees that guy from earlier with the red hat. Red cap. But a guy with the hat on who is staring at him. And Dean's like, ooh, what's going on with that. So Dean kind of sneaks after him. We cut back to the bar, and Mr. Brennan's like, I supported my family for 30 years, and then I was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and, I didn't know what to do. My grandmother used to say that they were real, and she told me stories about how to summon them and how to get them to do favors. And I didn't think this spell would work, but I was desperate, and I had this book, so I did this ceremony 2 months ago, and this man appeared and said he was a leprechaun. And Sam's like, okay, a leprechaun? And he's like, yeah, I asked him to cure my hands, and he said that he would do that, but he would make me more successful than I'd ever been. He'd give me a crew of workers, I could save my business, all that. He just wanted a place for them to rest, to chill. And I said, yes, I wasn't really thinking about it. And Sam's like, so what did you have to trade? And he's like, my firstborn, but turns out it wasn't just mine. Like, they're not going to stop. They are taking all these firstborn sons. And Sam's like, okay, we got to figure out, there's got to be a way to turn the clock back, to reverse it. And Mr. Brennan's like, well, yeah, but the book that I used is in a safe in my shop and they won't let me get to it. And Sam's like, oh, so you can see them? And he's like, well, yes. Then we cut. Dean's like, he knows the red cap sees him. He's like trying to hide from it. He he goes into an alley. And Dean tries to jump this guy.
This is a grown man who has survived hell, and yet he does the dumbest shit. Dumbest shit.
Listen, don't trauma shame people. Sometimes, if you have gone through hell, then yes, you're scared of an alley. No.
I'm trauma shaming him for what he does next.
Well, the next bit's rough.
So, Dean calculates about when this guy would have walked around the corner, and a guy walks around the corner, and Dean tackles him, and he's yelling, "Little fairy, what do you want, you fairy?" So as you may be able to know, so there's that. Dean backs off. He realizes, as a little girl runs around the corner and is like, "Daddy, like, what are you doing to my daddy?" Dean realizes that not only has he just assaulted a random person, this person also happens to be a little person. So you can see why grown Dean Winchester, both assaulting a random person and then calling him a fairy, maybe there's a lot kind of going on there. There's a lot to unpack with that.
This is a top 10 most cancelable Dean moment right here. Like, I can't defend him from this one.
This is even one of his less intentional cancelable moments.
That's true.
He did stuff on purpose, and
he didn't mean this one. It doesn't make it better, but he definitely doesn't mean this particular one.
And he definitely immediately feels bad about it.
That is really fun. It is really fun to go, no, not this, not this.
Yeah.
What did he expect? Like, what did you expect?
Did he not?
Nothing. Does that man think? Does this man think in this moment? Absolutely not. He focused. He focused on the one thing.
So he stands up and he's like, "Oh my god, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Oh my god, I'm so sorry." Sam and Mr. Brennan walk around the corner, and Sam is like, "Don't worry, like, my brother and I are gonna help you while you reverse this ritual." And then Sam sees Dean getting handcuffed and put into a cop car, and he's like, "What, Dean, what happened?" And Dean's like, "Sam, fight the fairies. You fight those fairies."
Fight the fairies is truly, I think, one of the most GIFed moments. It's like definitely up there in the like top 10 supernatural GIFs.
Yeah. So the next scene is the sheriff interrogating Dean, and he says the line, "I'm just trying to understand what kind of hate crime this was." And I'm just going to read the lines, because I don't know how else to describe it. Dean says, "It wasn't a hate crime." The sheriff says, quote, "I mean, if this gentleman were a full-sized homosexual, would that be okay with you?" And Dean says, I don't hate any size person or any size gay guy. And the sheriff says he's not gay as it happens. We find out that this guy was the district attorney. And Dean's like, oh, well, it's great. He's done well for himself considering...
He's trying so hard in this economic moment to not be canceled. It's such a great, I hate every word that I'm saying out of my mouth.
It's brutal. And the sheriff's like, well, son, you are all kinds of messed up. And I'm like, oh my god, a cop that actually cares about hate crimes? That's crazy. Wow.
Only this is a fictional TV show. Remind me.
Not to be too topical. So Sam and Mr. Brennan are like, all right, we got to do this on our own. They walk into the workshop, and we see from Mr. Brennan's perspective all these little guys, and they're like knocked out. They're all sleeping. And Sam's like, where are they in here? And he's like, yeah, but I knocked them out. They love tequila. So he spiked their cream. So he runs over, he grabs this spell book, and he starts reading this incantation. And then the guy with the red cap, he rolls up and he stabs Mr. Brennan and he dies. And Sam's like, oh, it's you. You're the leprechaun. And then we realize, who is this guy? It's Wayne, the UFO guy from the beginning. And he's like, yeah, it was me.
Whoa! The person who was a series regular on another show was the villain?
On Supernatural?
On any procedural episode of television, the person who's had series regular experience turns out to be the bad guy. It worked for me when I was younger and I didn't know who he was, but when I realized that he was the bad guy here, I was like, I should have known.
Mm-hmm. Also, again, when Sam is surprised and he's like, a leprechaun, I'm like, you fought pagan gods. You've met angels. Why would a leprechaun be weird?
I don't think he was weirded out by the leprechaun. I think he was weirded out by it being this guy.
No, I meant when he said leprechaun earlier. This guy, it makes sense. But also, I love the idea of a leprechaun doing a bit. Like, this leprechaun, he was so into the bit of being a UFO guy, and I appreciate that.
He's a guy that, I would bring around for, Thanksgiving or whatever. He's, a good, fun dude. Do you know what I mean? He absolutely would let you play out that bit.
He's yes-anding like crazy.
Oh, man. Can you imagine him, this leprechaun in improv? Just.
Whew. We can't have another prolonged segment where we talk about improv.
We've
Not another one.
Leprechaun improv.
Oh my that's God. Different then. So Wayne is like, ooh, this guy went back on his deal, so I had to kill him. And Sam's like, well, it sounds like the terms weren't very clear. And he's like, well, I told him there was a price. Once we come, we stay. And Sam's like, oh, so what? You take the firstborns and then you sit back and act like they're UFOs, like they're abductions for your cover? Your cover's blown now. And he's like, blown? Who knows? You? This guy? He's dead. Your brother? He's been marked. He's ours now. And Sam's like, yeah, well, there's me. And he's like, yeah, you can only see me because I let you. And he disappears. And Sam's like, yeah, but I have very good reflexes and you're going to have to attack me eventually. So then Leprechaun reappears. And he's like, you're not like the rest of them, are you? I could see that. You're missing a certain piece right in the center. We fairy folk, we're all about energy, and the human soul gives off a certain perfume. Your soul is far away, but not completely out of reach. I can get it back for you for a price. And Sam's like, yeah, it's locked in a box with the devil, so good luck. And this is a really interesting part that is introduced. Because he says, your devil, not mine. And Sam's like, oh, well, if angels can't do it, you can't. And he's like, I'm talking about real magic from my side of the fence.
He's kind of cooking. I was like, you know what? Yeah,
he's right.
Talking.
He's right. But I think also, one, it plays into something I said last week, which is where everyone's like, what's wrong with Sam? Then suddenly every creature they interact with is like, I know exactly what's wrong with Sam. Not that serious. It's just a TV thing, so they don't have to it's not that serious.
But this is also something really interesting to me, because we don't really, like, Supernatural doesn't really delve into, like, the fairy side of the world. It's sort of like there was a choice. Either you can go into the, like, fantasy element of whatever this kind of paranormal space is, or you can go into the Judeo-Christian element of this fantasy world. And it's always really interesting to me that, like, this was a real crossroads of, like, choose. And the show clearly makes a choice, and I think it's very fun. But it is really interesting sometimes, I think, to think of, like, what if it had chosen the other route of, like, what if we only, dive into this particular world that Ben Edlund always, like, does a really good job of creating within it.
Yeah. Well, I think we've always talked about also how, like, the potential for Supernatural, especially in the first couple seasons, exploring, like, what happens when you have a country like the United States that is based in so many people's cultures, and you have all of those beliefs and legends and histories that all are meshing together in this one place that, like, could be very interesting, and that it tries. Sometimes it does succeeds well, and sometimes it doesn't. In the first few seasons that I think were what was a strong point for it. It was like, what happens when you combine the vastness of the United States and also the terrifyingness of the things that all the cultures of all the people who came here or were brought here brought. And sometimes I wish they delved into that more. Like, you would think that, like, oh, we're dealing with the fairy folk, like, there's a lot of people of various cultures who would have had that, whatever, but then we never deal with that. And then they deal with pagan gods in a really weird way. And like you said, like you said, Megan, like, and then they're like, no, we're gonna go the angels and demons route, and you're like, okay.
I think it is interesting what you say, because I also think about, like, in Hammer of the Gods, where it's like, in this, it's like, oh, that's not your god, like, we're kind of our own thing. And I'm like, well, isn't Kali kind of her own thing too? Like, why is she suddenly not more powerful than Lucifer? Not a big deal. That's just my big pet peeve with that episode.
Like, I definitely don't think that it would have been for this, like, it wouldn't necessarily have been for our writer's room to have told those stories, right? Like, I think that there's definitely an aspect of it where it's like, that would have been cool, and we would have needed a different room for it. But, like, there's that aspect of things that I think is very crucial. But I don't know. I think this is one of the things that I really enjoy about Supernatural, is that there is so much to continuously mine from it, no matter what iteration it comes into being. Like, it is what you're always looking for, I think, at least for myself, is, like, in terms of things that could be franchises, is things that, like, incite imagination without needing the specific characters that were your way in. And, like, there is a world in which there's a lot of fun to be played in the Supernatural lore and aspect of it. Whether or not it does get played, and who knows, but I think it is such a rich world, and that is what people often get really attracted to by it, is that it is so full.
Yeah, I think Supernatural does do a good job of being, like, I think it does sample from a lot of different places and a lot of different types of like folklore, which I think is really cool. I think it's like I said, there are definitely some times where, like Klaudia said, there's sometimes where it works better than others. But that being said, I can at least appreciate them trying. And I think even in the episodes where it's like, it maybe didn't, like, I will talk about Hammer of the Gods all day as being an episode I think has a lot of really big problems. But I can at least appreciate, you can tell that they were trying to say, like, hey, there's other stuff out there other than this.
Especially, I think, for the time, the context of the time in which it was, I think is really interesting. Like, I do think, look, there's a lot that can be said about Supernatural, but I think throughout the course of the time that it was on, there was a constant attempt at trying to acknowledge the world as it is, within the confines of the show, for sure. But, like, it's very clearly important to Supernatural to say, hey, it's not just this.
Yeah.
With varying degrees of success, for sure. But, like, there's still this element of going in a time where, like, that wasn't always the case for a lot of TV shows.
I think that's what makes it frustrating for fans sometimes because you can see the effort. You can see the effort being 100%. Made to be like, oh, we're gonna like, you know, bring up this issue or we're going to talk about this thing or whatever. Yeah. And then like, you know, to go completely back on it with some like random ass thing and you'll be like, oh, come on. You were so close. Yeah. I saw the effort. I saw it. You saw. We all saw it. Yeah, and that's why it's so uniquely frustrating.
Yeah. I don't think that anyone has ever accused Supernatural of having a lack of care about what it does. So it's like even in the tough parts, I think you can see that overall, like the people making it care about the show for the most part and like are trying to deliver something. So I don't know, like I said, there's definitely effort put in. I think it's just like, and I think this episode is one that really works in terms of being
I think
hey, we have a lot of other, like there's a lot of other stuff going on, and I do really like this leprechaun being like, angels, who cared? Okay, and this is why Sam and Dean never go international, because I do think Supernatural's so steeped in American culture. They go one time, they go to get Crowley's bones and then come back. But I think the idea of maybe in season 16, there's going to be, maybe the spinoff of season 16 is going to be a Supernatural, it goes international, where it's going to be about like the hunters outside of the US.
Maybe. There's something really interesting to me. So in 2016, because I joined the show in May of 2016, and somebody, I can't remember who, did a poll at the time. There was something of like, there's some poll that was done of like, what TV show is on the top 5 most watched list for Republicans and Democrats? And Supernatural was on both sides.
Period. Bringing people together.
It was such an interesting sort of anthropological realization of like, yeah, I mean, on the one hand, this is a show about like 2 white boys with guns just like shooting it up, like
vigilante justice in a way.
Vigilante justice, like there's a lot, I think, to be said about how, and once again, in terms of like, you know, I don't have a like hallowed view of the show. I think the show is really good. I think the show has flaws, all of that. But in an aspect of going, the show does not have its flowers. I think this is one of those elements where it was like, when people now are going, oh, we just really want shows for Middle America, they're not actually looking to know what shows have been for all of America and what shows have existed and why those shows have existed. And I think Supernatural is a really good example of a show that like has its faults, sure, but managed to really reach a lot of people, no matter your political thoughts and no matter your sort of like wherever you exist on the spectrum, is really interesting. Like, it is something that I wish more people studied, because that's insane.
It's genuinely so interesting to me, because like one time I made a TikTok about like, I don't know, power scaling Dean Winchester against like somebody for like an anime character or something, and all these like men who like Supernatural were commenting, and like they don't know, like they don't know about November 5th 22, like they don't know. And I was like, wait, men watch Supernatural? And they were like, yeah, aren't we the most people who watch Supernatural? And I'm like, they don't know.
I think it's really fascinating, too, because I think the idea of Supernatural, like, hold on, let me collect what I was trying to say. My brain just, like, farted out. I think that it's really interesting, too, because a lot of, like, this, like, oh, we need something for Middle America, they take that as being, like, we need to make something that so has nothing to say. Yes. And it's just Middle America aesthetics.
Yes.
Whereas it's like, 100%. No, you need to have, like, there has to, people want to, regardless of where people are on any spectrum of anything, people want something that has heart. They want something that has originality, that has something to say. They don't, like, people, regardless of what they care about, they don't want to watch slop.
No.
Like, nobody wants to watch just, like, whatever. No one's really passionate about this. We just wanted something that wouldn't offend anyone.
100%. It's why I get very annoyed with the like, well, the youth these days have very short attention spans. No, they have high expectations, and you are not meeting those.
And it's like with streaming, you can, and with streaming and with the unprecedented access that we have to entertainment, it's like, well, I can just prioritize the things I want to watch. And I do think there is an issue where like younger people are having trouble engaging with longer things. Cause it's like all the new stuff that comes out now, they watch like one season and then it's like, it's over. It's like, well, why would they get invested in new stuff?
I think they have been taught not to. I really do
absolutely.
think that, like, it is not. I get really frustrated because I do think that, like, currently the mindset is, well, but we deserve these eyeballs. Like, we deserve these people to watch the thing that we put out. You don't. You don't deserve that. Like, you have to earn their approval. You have to earn their trust. And if you don't have a show that comes out for like a solid 2.5 years, you have to really recognize, like, what trust are you earning? Like, you have to recognize that, like, this is a relationship and you are losing the relationship with these people because they don't trust you and you don't deserve to earn their trust. Like, you don't deserve to just have their trust off the bat.
It's something that, like, I mean, I talk about this with anime a lot, and then you get a lot of executive people who are like, oh, why do people like anime or whatever? And, like, there is a certain trust in the medium. It has its own issues, parallel but issues, but there's a certain trust in the medium of, you know, if I know that they're not going to cancel this show because it's based on a manga that's already really popular, and I might not end up reading the manga, but I know that I can trust this, or that they're going to pump out merchandise or whatever. And there are a lot of problems there, but, like, you know, or I can trust that this show is going to have things that I like because it has this and that, and it's very formulaic or that kind of thing. And then they wonder why people like that, and I'm like, well, it's very similar, actually.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, if they just need to let us fix it. Like, if they let the three of us write all TV.
I know.
No.
The whole time.
Yeah. You know, I would like for people different from me to write TV, I think. I digress. So, anyway. This leprechaun's like, anyway, he's like, I can get your soul back. And Sam's like, oh, what? You're my blue fairy? You can make me a real boy again? Again with the Pinocchio references. That's 3. So if they do one more, then they're breaking the rule of 3s and it's over. And episode 0 stars canceled. So the leprechaun's like, yeah, well, if you wish upon a star. And Sam's like, yeah, I got a wish. And he shoots the leprechaun. And he, like, doubles over and he's like, oh, iron. That was so painful, but not a deal breaker. And he stands up and he goes to fight. Sam goes to shoot him again. They start fighting. Then we cut. Dean is in jail. He's sitting on the cot. And the guy, the red cap, shows up. He's like, hey girl. They start fighting. We cut back and forth between scenes of Sam and Dean fighting their respective fairies. We cut back to Sam and to the leprechaun, and he's like, come on, like, you've already taken your best shot, like, it's over. You're done. And Sam's like, you're right, I'm done shooting. So count this. And he pours out a vial of salt onto the ground.
And you know what? That was funny as hell.
It was. And he's like, the leprechaun's like, oh no, like, you. And Sam looks and he goes, why didn't I do that earlier? As the leprechaun starts counting the grains of salt. I do love that line so much. It's so funny. So Sam starts doing this basically exorcism, but for fairies. And he finishes it. The fairies all disappear from the shop. We cut back to Dean. They disappear. Like, the guy beating him up disappears. They're gone. We solved it. Then we get our traditional sitting on the car, shooting the shit about our emotions. Dean's, like, excited because he toasts to the guy that he beat up, the DA, and he's like, well, they're dropping the charges. And Dean's like, you know, do you think that Lucky Charm's there? Do you think he really could have returned your soul? And Sam's like, there's literally no way, but he did talk a good game. And Dean's like, you know, you said no. And Sam's like, well, yeah, like, in our history, in our experiences, making deals are not maybe the move. And Dean's like, it's all right, I got it. I'm just kind of trying to figure out how your head works now. And Sam's like, dude, I'm like still, I still have all my brain cells. Like, honestly, if anything, my brain works better now. And Dean's like, okay, like, I'm just making sure that you're not having second thoughts. And Sam's like, oh, yeah. And Dean's like, you're not, are you? And Sam's like, oh, no. And he looks off pensively, which makes makes the watcher understand maybe he is having second thoughts. And then the episode ends. It's one hell of an episode, huh?
It's so... I do love how Sam is like, well, I don't have any empathy anymore. I'm kind of smart.
Yeah.
All of those feelings were really getting in the way of my intelligence, guys.
I always say that.
I always say.
Guys, we all need to stop having emotion. Well, that's the thing. People are just too emotional. We all need to stop. Less empathy. Okay. We need to stop with that.
One thing also I noticed, I was like, is it implied at the end of that episode that they just buried that book? Like, they didn't burn it up or anything? Like, that book was kind of powerful. Like, they just, like, buried it in a cornfield and were like, let's hope for the best. Like,
I think it's
but what are they going to do? Burn a book? Like,
yeah, exactly. It's because Sam and Dean are not in favor of censorship.
That's right.
That's why they would never destroy knowledge.
They would never. That. They're like, this, at the risk of this happening again, we will refute.
Mm-hmm.
They are.
Yeah.
God,
Sam is posting an Instagram infographic about reading banned books. Honestly.
100%.
Like,
some of their fraudulent money that they get go to libraries, like fully, like PBS. They support all of it through the fake, through illegal means. But
Dean is looking at the receipts and he's like, "Is this a donation to NPR?" And Sam is like. Sam's like, well, yeah, they're getting defunded. Didn't you hear? Like,
yeah,
Sam's like, I really like pop culture happy hour, and I cannot let that go away.
See, this is Supernatural season 16. We'll cover all of this.
Supernatural season 16. They're listening to Wait, Don't Tell Me on a Saturday morning, and Dean is getting questions right. And Sam's like, how did you know this? And Dean's like, I read.
Exactly. I went to the library. And I'm never giving this book back because we've left that town 10 years ago.
They drive so much on this show. They drive so much. I know the mileage. They made a joke in one of the episodes we just watched, but I know the mileage on the Impala is crazy. Like, the counter probably doesn't even go that high anymore.
That car is still running. Not that way.
At the end of between season 1 and 2, they rebuilt the car.
Yeah.
So maybe there were new parts. But after that, like...
Even after that...
Yeah. They've driven more in, like, 6 seasons than I have in my entire life.
And no seatbelts, no airbags, nothing. No. Just vibes.
Free balling.
They have the protection of angels on their side.
Exactly.
Well, angels is a strong term. Maybe one.
Not let anything happen to that car. Let's be real.
That's what happened after. That's why at the end of season 1, when they get in that awful car accident, because Cass wasn't there.
Cass was like, I look away for 1 minute. Dummies.
Yeah.
Well,
so do we have anything else we want to say about this episode?
Oh, I had a question for Megan. So,
yes.
in a lot of Supernatural episodes, they will have them saying random Latin words or random other words when they're doing some sort of spell or something. How does the writing team decide what gibberish for them to say and in what real and or fake language?
That special gift was given to most likely Jenny Klein, who is one of the writers for the next episode, who was, I believe she was the writer's assistant at this point. So the writer's assistant in general sort of get questions like that. There's a bit of Googling done, but, and I'll be honest, there was a lot of Super Wiki on every single computer, was just sort of checking of like, have we done this spell already?
This is amazing. That's just like us.
No, genuinely, so many, especially by season 12, so many things were like, hey, have you checked SuperWiki on this? Because it was so useful. And we loved Jules. Like, everybody knew Jules anyway, so it was really a lovely thing. But yeah, no, it was so helpful to be like, hey, do we have that spell already? Like, did we do something for this? But if we hadn't, then it would most likely have gone to the writer's assistant or the script coordinator, who at this time I think would have been David Reed, who has gone on to do and written for other things. But they would have been in charge for, like, lore type, specific language things would have been given to them.
Got you. That's fascinating. It's so interesting hearing about it from, like, the other perspective.
We're always just like freeballing it over here. We're always just like, yeah, I bet they were just throwing darts at the wall. I don't know. And so I love how your response was, I don't know. I went on the Supernatural wiki.
Just like us.
Especially by the time I was there, it was very much a, like, you have to check Supernatural wiki if, like, that spell's already been done. Just because, like, man, we've done a lot of spells at this point, and like, no way you could be the diehardest of fans, and they're still like, I don't remember if what this spell was or if the exact incantation. So, yeah, a lot of times it would fall on the writer's assistant. It's part of the writer's assistant job anyway, is just to sort of, like, fact check and, like, clear and make sure, like, we weren't in the room a lot. Even then, there wasn't a lot of room time, and so as you were breaking an episode or something, you'd probably go to the writer's assistant and be like, does this make sense? And so that person had to be like, no.
I also love the amount of times that spells come up on the show, and then Sam and Dean will be like, oh, witchcraft, except for that Sam does an exceeding amount of witchcraft. Like,
so my personal fanfic for the show is just Sam, like, becoming a witch. I think that think that is so interesting for a character turn for him.
Like, his whole thing with Rowena in the later seasons.
I know.
I was like, just become her apprentice. Like, damn.
Yeah, no, 100%. I, like, some of the fun, and it makes sense, right? Like, it's a logical character decision for this very smart person who comes in with a laptop all the time and says, so get this. To then go, okay, so let's, like, how would I do something like that? There's definitely an alternate universe out there where Sam becomes a dark witch or something.
And in my heart, that can be the canon universe.
Yeah.
And in your heart, that's season 16. I mean...
Season 16... Sam is doing witchcraft. Dean and Castiel have 3 kids and a dog. Megan.
Well, yes.
We have been here for a very long time. So, before we go, would you like to tell us about the non-supernatural things that you are working on that you want our listeners to know about? We do sometimes have a segment called Media That Is Not Supernatural We Think You Should Consume Instead. And in this case, that would be something that you may or may not have worked on if you want to tell our listeners about it.
Absolutely. So I have a creator-owned comic coming out, which means it is entirely from mine and my artist's brains, called, and I'm bringing up it's called Mary Sue.
Cute.
And this is our cover for the video that we're doing, for this audio medium. It is about a teenage girl writing a fanfic about her favorite TV show, and that Mary Sue that she writes for ends up coming to life when she is bullied in school, and chaos ensues because of course. But ultimately, it is a love letter to fandom. It is a love letter to both. I have been on both sides of fandom, and I think fandom is one of the best things on the planet. I think it's so incredibly important. I think Mary Sue's are so incredibly important. They are important for us to figure out who we are as people, who we want to be. They are important to development of either authorial voice, but also just like character. Like Mary Sue's have gotten a lot of flack, and I'm really just done with it. So I wrote this book that is all about like sort of, we delve in a little bit to the history of Mary Sue's. That's a little bit later. Because I find fandom history specifically really interesting. I also deeply, can I tell you about the fake TV show that I have created for this? Because I love it so much. Obviously, it's inspired by Supernatural. It's inspired by Vampire Diaries. It's inspired by Doctor Who. It's inspired by Super Who Luck, because who amongst us wasn't on Tumblr in 2014? It's called Riverview. And
oh my god.
Yes. And it is about a Roman vampire named Marcus, time-traveling teen Sherlock Holmes, and real girl Alice.
Oh my god, I'm so seated. Oh. I would be tuning in.
Thank you. I love it. I love this dumb fictional show that I have created.
I know it got 17 seasons on the CW. And
I know it did. Every single season is about, like, there's an apocalypse coming, but also Alice is being bullied at school. Like, it's
that's like, it's very Buffy in that way.
Yeah, I mean, Buffy's another sort of inspiration for it. The character Marcus, the artistic style is definitely pulled from. Lisa has already admitted that, like, she's like, there's a little bit of Spike here. There's a little bit. And it's very much so, like, Cassie, our main character, is writing her Mary Sue, which is Jessica, and because it's such a small fandom, Jessica becomes sort of a known character within the fandom, so she'll write a coda at the end of every episode of
fan?
Yeah, I know. And so she writes a, like, story at the end of every episode of Jessica, like, showing up and doing whatever. But it's also just about, like, Cassie's friendships, both in the real world and also in the fandom world. Like, she has these, like, this chorus, essentially, this Greek chorus that exists as the, like, 3 other fandom friends that she's on a Discord with and stuff like that. And, like, it's so much a love letter to both fandom spaces and also that time in your life when you're like, I only am identifying with fandom things, and like, real world stuff is happening and I refuse to engage because it doesn't feel safe and it doesn't feel fun. And, like, the quest is, like, how do you merge those two things? But ultimately, the Mary Sue is a way for you to engage both with your life and the life that you lead on the internet. So I'm very proud of it. I love it very much. It is out in any comic book store that you can find. It is out on October 1st. So put your orders in now. There will be 5 issues. And a little bit later we get to go to a place that I will spoil called Mary Sue World.
Ooh. Very excited.
Exciting.
We will put a link to pre-order at some major comic book stores and other places in our show notes, because it will it be available on any digital comics platforms?
I believe so. So it's through Boom, and I believe Boom has relationships with. I am very supportive of Hoopla, so, like, reach out to me on all platforms, either on, like, Blue Sky or Instagram or whatever. I'm at MEGFITZ89, Megafitz89. If you would like a way in order to find it digitally, I am very supportive of digital, and I think we should be more so. So if you're like, I really want this, but I don't know how to find a copy of it, reach out to me and I will help you find it.
Yeah, and we will have links to follow Meghan for her future projects, to pre-order the comic, and yeah, is there anything else that you'd like to say to our listeners about Supernatural, about the experience behind the scenes of Supernatural?
Oh man,
you're like, no.
I know behind the no. It was one of I'm so grateful for it. I am so grateful for the people that I knew on it. I'm sure we'll be back because I love nothing more than to talk about it. As I was telling these guys earlier on, I have so much Supernatural knowledge in my head that, like, just has nowhere to go. So I just live with this here. I am really grateful. I still talk to everybody that I was on it with. I literally just yesterday saw one of our editors, Fitz, who I adore, and, like, went on a hike with him and chatted with him and see how he was doing in life. So, like, it really became a family, for better or worse, goods and bads, but I think that's the beautiful thing of it, and I am really grateful to have been a part of it. And I'm very grateful to talk about it, because I think it's a really special thing. Even though, you know, it makes people feral. It made me feral. So like, you know, join me here.
But also, we used to be a proper country where we had TV shows that ran for a long time and crews that got to know each other and play and things like that. We used to be a proper country, and then what happened? Okay.
And then garbage. And then garbage happened.
Garbage. So
I will always be a supporter of network television and the importance of it, and how incredibly special that it is. So I am grateful for Supernatural, because it taught me so much. And it is a good example of what of the heights and the lows that network TV can hit.
No, truly.
Yeah.
We say that all the time when we're like the highest of highs in Supernatural are so high, and the lows are just incredibly low.
Insane. Like it is truly one or the other at any given point.
Yeah. And it's beautiful to hear that it's not just us in our echo chamber.
No.
But it's been such a pleasure having you here. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
Thank you.
Well, Filbert, you're always welcome. So if you ever want to hop back on, we're
obviously
here.
For your episodes.
I'll be here in a heartbeat. I love nothing more.
So we're just going to be like, and this is our new host.
This is our new host, Megan.
So initially we'd planned on doing 2 episodes in this, but that was just too crazy. That was too much. We've been here for a million years, and we had such a good first episode. This is plenty for you, listener. You should be thankful for this. I'm just kidding. Sorry, that was rude. Anyway, thank you for listening. And I thank you again to Megan for coming. This was so much fun. If you want more from us, you can follow us on social media. We're at Mystery Spotcast on Blue Sky, Tumblr, Instagram, TikTok. You can also email us. We're themysteryspotcast@gmail.com. If you enjoyed, we would really appreciate it if you leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, or comment on our YouTube channel, all that stuff. Tell a friend. We do have a playlist. I have neglected to update it recently, but the link to send a song is in the show notes, so please fill that out. And we will see you 2 Tuesdays from now for more slaying people, queerbaiting things, the supernatural business.